Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. Yes, I gotta get my fat ass situated. Alright, so this is going to be the start of the Monday and Wednesday, I believe, live streams. And you can do other ones as necessary. They're going to be live streams, and they're going to be covering what it takes to make a game from start to finish in Unreal Engine 4 and blueprints only. Okay, why blueprints only? Because, well, if you don't know how to do C++ or any other programming languages, then okay, your best first learning option is going to be to use Unreal Engine 4 and blueprints. It is the simplest way to get started in creating a game, and I'm going to assume that you already have Unreal Engine 4 installed. And honestly, I'm going to skip over some things in this series. I'm going to say this is what you need, this is the tools you need, and we'll help you with the basics of those. I'm not going to show how to install them. If you can't figure out how to install Unreal Engine 4, then you have no business trying to make a game. You need to learn how to use your computer, and that's a whole different subject series on how to use your own computer. My computer that I'm using is not really a potato. It's not the most advanced thing in the world, but I am running for system specs, if you want to know. AMD Black Edition 8350 FX 8-core CPU. I'm running A99 video, not video, motherboard from MSI. The motherboard itself works perfectly fine. It's not the most up-to-date, but it does what I need. I'm running Windows 7 because I choose to. And since I know that I'm running Windows 7, I built my system around that so that I can get the most performance out of my machine for the money. And we're talking about maybe $750 for this machine when I built it. I'm running 16 gigabytes of DDR3, which meshes well with Windows 7 and everything else that I'm running. And it is, I believe the speed was 1866 or 2166, something of that nature. It was the fastest that I could get without overclocking the memory right out of the box to work with this motherboard. Video card, GTX 1060 6 gig super clocked edition from EVGA. For monitors, I am using Samsung 32-inch televisions. They are not smart TVs. They are the dumbest TVs that I could find that have HDMI inputs to them. And I'm running 3 of those on a hard mount that is actually bolted to the wall. So I'm running 3 32-inch televisions. And yes, they only have 60 hertz. Oh no, they're only 60 hertz. Okay, well, I'm running Windows 7 and I'm running DirectX 11, which is the max you can run on Windows 7. So everything meshes together perfectly. I can play most games that I want to play in 5760 by 1080 and run all 3 monitors, like World of Tanks, World of Warships. Any game that I really want to play is going to work with all 3 panels live at once. I'm not doing it that way, running them as 3 separate monitors. So enough about system specs. Okay, let's get into the tools. First off, you're going to need Unreal Engine 4, and again, I'm not going to tell you how to install everything. The current version that I'm running is 420.3. The current version available is 421.1. Why am I not running it? Because I don't care. Usually I don't pick up onto the next newest version. I don't upgrade until usually 0.1 or 0.2 after they've done their hotfixes. Just because, well, my multiplayer template that I use in Cell is currently set up for 420.3. I could very easily make it work for 421, no problem. But for right now, all my stuff is geared up for that, and it works. Okay, you'll notice that I have a shitload of projects. Don't worry about those. Once you've installed Unreal Engine 4, it is all free. So once you got that, you're good to go. Other tools you will need in the long run will be Blender, and that's going to allow you to do 3D modeling, and that is free. I use GIMP for graphics. I don't know why I chose to go ahead and go into it, but GIMP does everything that I need free of charge for creating and editing images. It all has all the usual tools you're going to need, layers and blah 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 blah. You know, that's something you're going to run into later on. Another tool that's going to be quite helpful is going to be Audacity, also free for editing audio files, because typically what you're going to run into is the most common files you're going to use for sound are going to be 16-bit waves. No, archaic, but that's what Unreal Engine 4 prefers. 16-bit waves. I can use 32, I can use whatever you can use, who cares? What Unreal Engine 4 uses is 16-bit waves. I know, it's very 90s, but whatever. The most important tool you're going to need when you first get started is this guy, Notepad. Yeah, you can find it in Windows 7, Windows 10, I don't know. Windows 8, I don't know. I don't use them, but you click on your start button down here and click on all programs. You're going to have all these different things to choose from. Oh my god, he plays Minecraft. Actually, Minecraft is a good tool for laying out things for your maps and figuring out how things are going to feel, flow. You know, so yeah, it could actually come in handy. If you don't see it in the list of things here, you got accessories, and right here, Notepad. You open that up, and there you go, Notepad. So why is Notepad one of the most important things you're going to need for creating your first game, or creating a game in general? Why do you need Notepad? Because, well, it's free, it's available to anybody who's using Windows, and it's going to be a place where you can put down your ideas. When you first sketch it down, I'm gonna make an awesome game. Okay, if that's your theory of what you want your game to be, then you're gonna need to go back to playing Minecraft. Even if you don't have a title or a name for your game just yet, the whole concept of creating your game is just that. You don't have to have a name. You can start off with my game. Come back in later, and this is Notepad. You want to change it, you highlight it and call it Monkey Spunky. Call it whatever the hell you want. It's your game. For now, I'm just going to put it in here as my game. So, what kind of game do you want to create? Well, you could be showing how to make your first project. No, this is how you need to start. You need to, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. 7 P's. The 7P method. Proper, and I'm going to spell these wrong, prior planning prevents piss poor performance. 7 P's. And what the hell does that mean? Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Proper prior planning, that just means knowing what the hell you're doing before you start doing it. Essentially, know what kind of game you're going to create. Write it down in here. You can always come back in and refine this text document and figure out what you're doing. You want to stick with that whole concept. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Learn it, live it, love it. So, I want my game to be a first-person shooter, FPS. And what kind of setting do I want? I want a cowboy game. If you're here to learn how to do I want to make a battle royale, go right ahead and make it. But just understand that by the time you create your game and you get it out there as a playable thing, maybe get it posted on Steam, itch.io, GameJolt, any of the other services, it may not be the current trend, and hopefully, okay, I'm not into doing battle royale games because I think it's already been done too many times, too many different ways. Everybody has their own version of a battle royale. Hell, even World of Tanks tried it. Ark Survival Evolved tried it. Well, PUBG started. No, PUBG didn't start shit. Fortnite didn't start it. No. You go back into the Arma 2 game, and there were battle royale games for Arma 2, and then Arma 3. And there was DayZ, and then there was DayZ Battle Royale, and then there was this version. And, you know, there were versions of Battle Royale games out years before Fortnite or PUBG ever came out. So, again, we're not worried about that point of it just yet. But if you want a Battle Royale, then go ahead and write that down in your text document. You want a Battle Royale. If you're going to do a Battle Royale, then still you want to pick what your theme is. Stinty Studios has a really good asset pack for that. But I want to start working on Unreal Engine 4. You're going to get there. Plot this out. Figure out what you're going to do first. Okay? My game. You don't even have a name for your game yet. Okay? No problem. So just put down my game. What kind of game is it going to be? An FPS game using cowboys. And what kind of game modes do you want? Do you want it to be a survival game? Do you want it to be an open world survival? Do you want it to be a battle royale? Do you want it to be an arena-based shooter? What do you want to do with that? So I want it to be open world. And go through this. And you're going to need to spend time, ponder what your game is going to be. Meditate on it. Whatever it takes. And just do this. Just do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. It sounds stupid right now for some people. Okay, whatever. You're special. You're amazing. You can do wonderful things. But for people who are going to want to watch this video and learn what it takes to get started, I'm telling you the best way to get started is to get started using Notepad first. Tools you need: Unreal Engine 4, Blender, GIMP, Audacity. Great. If you want to use paid resources, that's great. But it doesn't matter what you have and what you're using if you don't have a direction to go into. So another thing that I'm going to cover is, and I'm actually going to go ahead and delete this one because this is actually in a folder. I don't need it. But once you've created that, and do I do this? Yeah, hell yeah, I do it all the time. One of the other things that I would suggest doing is creating a folder on your hard drive called My Game. And yes, I've got so much crap in here, but I've got one, My Game, and I've gone through okay, intro and public game design, general douchebaggery. You know, whenever I have thoughts on how I'm wanting to do my game, I go through here and I create these text files, and I have a bunch of them that will completely lay out the way that I want my game to feel, and all that razzmatazz. So that's what I'm going to say is your best first step into creating your first game is get into Notepad, create your game on paper, so to speak, first, and then when you have it all down and you are ready to go, then you're ready to start doing your basic project. And make sure I don't have one already created in here. Do you want your game to be multiplayer? Single player? Okay, look at all the sheer options here for, this is just what I have. This is only a portion of the vault cache and stuff that I have for Unreal Engine 4, and these are assets. Do I recommend jumping in and buying a bunch of assets? No, I don't. When you first get started, there's one place you need to stay out of: Marketplace. Stay out of the Marketplace when you first get started creating your first game. Marketplace is going to do you no good whatsoever. I don't know. But I like her. She's got a cute butt. And oh, dude, that knight looks awesome. And but I like those. And oh, that looks cool. And oh well, oh man, that's awesome. Then you come down here, free this month. Small animal pack. I can be a rabbit, squirrel, or a rat. Okay, these are free. Oh, well, I get those. I will review more of these. I've already reviewed this one. I'll look at the rest of them, but I would definitely say avoid the Marketplace when you first get started. There is so many really cool things out there. Old vehicle collection. Oh man, that looks cool. I want that one. It's 25 bucks. Well, there's an FPS assault pack I can get for $15. And there's a tree for $25. There's a spaceship. Oh, it is so easy to get wrapped up in. I'm not saying that any of these are bad, but it's so wrapped up in the ooh shiny, and oh my god, that looks so cool. I can do this, and I can just drop. And here's the misconception that people are going to find once they start going the evil route of the Marketplace. They think that they can download a asset pack. And I'm not talking about like the Cindy Studios stuff, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. I can get the action RPG, and I can make a game right off the bat. And all I got to do is just, I get stuff from John Galt. Love his stuff. It's great stuff. Would I, suggest it? Yes, but not for your first game. City Studio stuff, again, I'll get into that in just a minute. But I can get the shooter game, and I got an instant game. Yeah, sure you do. But if you don't understand the basics of how to create a game, you're going to go into it, and you're not going to know how to do anything. And I see this on a pretty regular basis, where people will actually go in and they've downloaded other people's stuff, like shooter game or the RPG template and these other things, and they have no clue whatsoever what they're doing, and they didn't take the time to learn the basics of how to create a game. So every time they encounter a problem, they're completely lost over simple things, and it'll take them 10 times longer to create a game based on modifying somebody else's stuff to work with your own. Quit using somebody else's things and expect you're going to make an instant game out of it. Forget about it. Start simple, make your own content, and go from there. If you want to create a good, solid game and you want to start looking at assets, then think about this. The only assets you really need to have are going to be things like environmental assets and animations. One of my favorite assets for animations that I picked up so far was the pedestrians animation. I got it when it was on sale. If you want background animations for your background characters, can't go wrong with it. Cindy Studios assets. I have all of them, so if you have questions about them in the future, just ask me. But I do recommend also joining my Discord channel. I may not be able to answer your questions instantaneously, but I will get to them as I can. But forget about all this stuff right here and all these fancy assets from the Marketplace. Don't get the ooh shinies, and don't end up with a project list like mine. And this is, again, only a small percentage of the projects that I have. I have a bunch more that's archived. So, the first step was going through Notepad and writing down what you want your game to be. And I've already decided that my game that I'm going to create is going to be a cowboy game. And it's going to be a first-person shooter. Well, it's a good thing that I have the Western pack from Polygon. Not from Polygon, but from Cindy Studios. I have the Polygon Western, and I also have their Frontier pack. Again, I have all of their assets. Their assets are going to be great. But first things first is I need to launch Unreal Engine 4. And in this case, again, I'm using 420.3. Doesn't matter. You could be using 421.1 or whatever version it is you're in possession of. And if you don't have any projects, then you're going to be greeted with new projects. Ah, coffee. Nectar of the gods. Now, here's another suggestion for creating that first project. You don't know what the name of the game is going to be, so I'm still going to call this my game. I don't have a title yet. I want it to be a first-person shooter, so I can just select this right here, first person, and there we go. You can, but don't. I want a first-person shooter, but I'm going to be in a third-person perspective. How about that? So I can change between third and first person. So I should just go ahead and select that one right there, right? No. No. We're going to start off with blank. Blank. Not C++, but blueprint blank. That's selected by default. Let it be selected. Blueprint blank. Make sure you're set for desktop and console because that's what your first game is going to be on. Maximum quality. No starter content. We're not adding anything else in right now whatsoever. We're going to start blank. No starter content. Desktop console. And maximum quality. This is set up. This is all we need to do. We give it a name. And we're going to hit create project. And it's going to create that first project. And it's going to open it up for us. And we're going to have nothing. Best place to start, right? So I'm actually going to turn off the camera for right now because I want you to see some things up here in the World Outliner. So, there we go. Camera is off. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here so I can see my content here and here. I have nothing. There's nothing here. It's beautiful, isn't it? You got your first intro map, and over here is your World Outliner. If you don't see anything called World Outliner because you haven't opened anything else before, you go to Window and make sure you put a check next to World Outliner. You also want to make sure that your world settings is there and that you also have a details panel over here as well. But details should be there, but this is the layout, bare minimum of how you should have everything set. Now, this is our first map. Okay, it is untitled. There's nothing here, but we have a sky. We have the sun, clouds. We have a little platform. First thing I want to do, the very, very, very first step I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to either in here or while I have content selected, I can select right here. I'm going to right click anywhere in this open area and I'm going to select new folder. And I'm going to call this capital M APS, maps. This is an important folder you're going to need later down the line. Getting started with that first game, you need to get proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Get organized, stay organized. Maps folder. You can double click, go into it. We don't have anything in here at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File and I'm going to go to New Level. Now, we can do Default, VR Basic, or Empty Level. Well, you know, we want to create all our own stuff, don't we? No, not really. I'm going to go to VR Basic. Okay. Actually, no, we're going to go with default. I know, we already have one that's right there anyway. It's the same damn thing. But that's just showing you that if you want to create a new level, you just hit File and go to New Level. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to screw around with this level. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to have anything worth doing. But I want to show you the basics of this first step. Okay, spherical reflection capture, or sphere reflection capture. What is it? What does it do? It annoys me. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to hit delete. Well, you need that for later on. You probably, which you can add it back in here again. You got skylight. Okay, that's there. We got this cloud thingy right there. That's the atmospheric fog. This one right here, well, that's our light source. Well, okay, these are nice. I'm just going to take them and throw them below the ground. I don't need to see them. They don't need to be in my way. This is the floor. Well, we want that, right? For now. But I'm going to change its height to 0. No, I said 0. So I'm going to go to I'm going to select it either in here or here. Make sure that the transform location is all zeros. Lighting needs to be rebuilt. No, it doesn't. Well, maybe you think it does, but it doesn't need to be done just yet. We have our basic map that we can start screwing around with. If we hit play, well, we have a mouse cursor. We can't do anything. If I left click somewhere on the map, now I can move my mouse around and I can use my WASD keys and fly around the map. We don't have a character. We impact against a solid surface, but we don't have a character whatsoever. So that's fine. Let's actually go ahead and save our first map. Okay, so what I want to do here is hit save all, and this is going to come up. See, file, temp, untitled _2. Don't worry about this. We just want to go ahead and hit save selected. This is going to come up, and select your maps folder, and I'm going to change where it says untitled down here at the bottom. I'm going to change that to test map, and this is going to be the map that I use for testing things with. So we need to have a basic concept of, well, I got to do a lighting build. Okay, settle down, Beavis. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that build button right there. Nothing really there, but it's going to satisfy it, and it's going to shut it up and get rid of that error. You can turn off disable all screen messages to suppress, or you can just go ahead and do an actual build the first time. Let it get it over with and ignore it for the time being. It's going to go through, do a bunch of stuff, just let it do its thing. There's nothing here on the map really to worry about. Lighting build complete. Oh, lovely, thank you. So let's do a save all again and save selected, and it built. So we have test map and test map build data, and that's fine. We now need a character. So what I can do is add new, this big green button right here, add feature or content pack, which is all the way at the top, blueprint feature. Okay, but we want a first person shooter. Okay, settle down. Are you going to do multiplayer? You want to do multiplayer, and that's fine. For your first game, don't worry about multiplayer right now. Multiplayer is not super difficult, but it is not easy for the first timer. So we're going to stick with third person. But I want a first person shooter. Settle down. It'll be okay. You know, just follow my lead. We're going to build third person and add to project. Well, why couldn't I have just selected that whenever I created a project? Because this does it a slightly different way. I'm going to close that because now we see the stuff is in here. Well, it's got a map. Well, we don't care about that map. We'll go to it shortly. Go to our world settings over here. We're in our test map. This is our map. This is our world. You have game mode override none. I'm going to click on this box. Now I can come down to third person game mode, and you can click on this little arrow right here, and it's going to show the default pawn class is third person character. We're not going to let that ride. We're going to create our own here in just a minute. So now if I hit play, hey look, I have a mouse cursor, which you may or may not have a mouse cursor, but I have one, and it pisses me off because I'm old and I'm crotchety and I complain a lot. I left click somewhere on the map, and now I can spin around and look at my character. I can use WASD to move my character around, spacebar to jump, but if I fall off the edge, I fall for an awful damn long time. An awful long time. If you look over here on the right, kill Z is set to this huge number. I'm going to select there, and I'm going to say negative 1000 for my kill Z. Now when I hit play again, come over here, if I fall for 1000, we're dead. Well, how do we prevent that? Well, first off, don't walk off the damn edge, and you won't do that. But without getting overcomplicated in the very first moment of our first map, when we created this, it did create a third-person BP folder and a third-person folder. It also created a geometry folder and a mannequin folder. So where we only had our maps folder, we now have multiples. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hit save all. In our geometry folder, what we've got is a mesh folder. Inside there, it's just going to have a couple items. These light blue lines are going to represent a static mesh. I'm talking about the lines at the bottom of the graphic here. This one with the green is going to be a material. So we have static meshes and materials. We have now a mannequin folder, and the mannequin folder is going to have animations, and that's going to be important. Animation blueprint and a blend space. Those are going to be important, especially down the line. Character folder, we're going to have materials, mesh, and textures. All important to think about for later on. No problem, we'll come back to them. Third person folder, again, mesh folder. These are the meshes that we're going to encounter in the third person example map. So we'll come over here into third person blueprint. We have blueprints, which is our third person character, and our game mode. And we have a maps folder. You have two options here. This one right here, the third person example map build data. You won't be opening that file at all. You're going to go to this one with the orangish colored, light orange colored third person example map. Now if you double click on that one, you can see that you have, and again, I'm holding down the right mouse button and using WASD to move around. If I hit play, watch what happens. Yay! We have a mouse cursor, but now we can move around once we hit the mouse cursor. And we can see third person written on the ground, the spinning little thing there, stairs, and yay, we can interface with the map, and it's awesome. And there was much rejoicing. But if it works, why screw with it? Because I don't want this guy here. This guy, the dude, I can't see my own damn mouse cursor. This guy. I don't want him on the map whatsoever. But it works. Why can't I just do that? I don't want it there. I'm going to delete him with the delete key while I have him selected. My game mode override, I'm going to select that as third person game mode. Now, you can see this little weird thing that looks like a flag with controller. That is a player start. If I select that, it is a player start. So now if I hit play, it's going to spawn me from there, but I still have this stupid-ass mouse cursor. And everything works just fine. So, if you were doing this multiplayer later on, then, well, that becomes your spawn point. So, if you look right here in your recently placed, you got player start right there. You can add another one to the map, and whenever you spawn in, it's going to pick between those two randomly. There is ways of selecting that spawn point, but it's just for right now, we're going to pick between them randomly. Now, I'm going to hit Save All, Save Selected, and be done with it. Do we want to keep using this map? Yes, you can if you like. But what my next step is, my next suggestion is, well, I want to start doing things with my player character. Okay, lovely. You have a little bit of knowledge. Knowledge is dangerous. So, again, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. I'm going to go back to my content folder, and I'm going to right-click anywhere in this blank area, make a new folder, and I'm going to make a character folder. Then I'm going to go inside there, and I'm create another folder called Animations, or if I could learn how to put my hands on the keyboard, Animations, and then another one called Blueprints, another one called Mesh. All right. And whatever, let's have another one called Materials. So you've got all these things here. Now, we just created all these folders in here. So let's open them up so we can see them. Right now we have third person character. What do I want you to do? What I would say for right now, left click on this, drag it over to our blueprints folder and select copy here. Now we have an original. In case we screw up our new one, we have a backup copy of the original we can fall back to. But I don't want to leave it called third person character. I'm going to hit F2. F2 as in the function key F2, or I can right click on it and select rename, and I'm going to call this player, or learn how to spell, underscore base. This is the name that I call my player character at all times. Player underscore base. It's just what I do. You can call it frog penis, you can call it whatever you want, but I call mine player base. In case I want to make a variation of that, I can then come back in, right click, create child blueprint class, and make variations of the original player base. But for now, player underscore base is going to be what you're going to rename your copy of the third person character. This is your blueprint for actually doing your character. So now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into it, and this pisses me off that Unreal Engine 4 does not keep my settings. I don't want some big floating ass thing right here, so I'm going to close that. I'm going to come up here to Edit, Editor Preferences, and under User Interface, come down to here, Asset Editor Open Location, and change that from Default to Main Window. And then the next thing I'm going to tell you to do sounds like something that you shouldn't do. But I'm going to tell you to go to Loading and Saving, come down to Autosave, enable Autosave, and then uncheck that. Autosave is for idiots. Autosave is bad. It is evil. It is terrible. We should always make sure you save your content. Yeah, you should always make sure you save your content. You are responsible for saving your own content. You got a save all button right there. Hit that son of a bitch. Even if you scratch your head and, oh, okay, save all and then go back and doing something. You need to hit that save all button. You need to know where it is. You need to hit it often. Make a change, save all. Make a change, save. Make a change, save. You need to get used to hitting that save all button. and that compile and save button often. Often. You need to know where that save button is on every damn thing. You make a change, save it. You can always hit Control Z and undo things later, but if you rely on autosave, then you need to go back to Minecraft. Seriously, I'm not saying bad things about Minecraft, but you are responsible for your own saving and planning. Let's break down. I haven't changed anything. I'm going to right click and I'm going to move around the blueprint, and I'm going to look here, gamepad input. Well, in theory right now it's going to be zoomed out like that, and I'm just going to right click and move around. And don't you hate it when people are doing like this right here? That's so stupid, isn't it, when you're on a video? So I won't do it anymore that I can think of. Press R to reset VR orientation. I'm not making a VR game. So if I click in here, I can change the name of it. But by clicking here, I can actually drag that whole block around. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to. You can grab the edges and make that comment block bigger, smaller, whatever. I'm not using input action reset VR. I'm not using VR. So I'm just going to select by left click, drag all around everything, and I'm going to hit delete key. I'm not using VR. I have no use for it. This is my first game. I don't need it. Gamepad input. If I select here, I can drag that all around. If I just hit delete now, it deletes the comment block. So I have to left click and select all this stuff right here. Then why am I deleting it? What if I need it? No, you don't need it. Not for your first game. Touchpad input. Are you using a laptop? No, I'm not. So, but what if somebody... No, this is your first game. Your first game's going to suck, and you're going to end up deleting it later, and you're going to hate it. You're going to make a mistake, you're going to break it, and you're going to end up deleting this project later on anyway. Gee, you're thinking positive, you sick son of a bitch. And it's true. You're going to fuck it up. Oh no, he dropped the F-bomb. I'm a grown-ass man. Say whatever the hell I want to say. But truth be told, your very first game is going to be a train wreck. You're going to hate it, and you're never going to do anything with it. God, there's a lot of positivity in that shit, isn't it? It's true. We all know it's true. For those of us who have made projects before, you're on project number 974,206. Yeah. It's just going to happen. Let it... Just lay there and let it happen. It'll be okay. Sorry. Sick old bastard. So I'm left with a couple variables and this stuff right here. Jump and mouse input. Things we're going to need. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to drag... Well, why the hell did that not come with it? Because it sucks donkey nuts. So I'm going to hit Control and Z keys together to undo. Why would it not move whenever I did this? Oh, now you want to move. Pain in the ass. Okay, well, I'm just going to make this window for the chat comment a little bit larger. And I'm just going to mouse out a little bit with the scroll wheel. And I'm going to move it over here just to get it out of the way. We're going to grab our mouse input and our, well, screw it, we're going to put it right there. Just make it neat. And our first tip for getting organized in here. Alright, we've got movement input. We're not going to change this because it works, okay? So I'm going to select here, and so I have it selected here. Movement. Movement is kind of a go thing. You're going, you're moving, you're doing things. So I'm going to come over here to comment color. I'm going to select this big white bar, and now I'm going to select, I don't want any red, so I'm going to put a 0 next to this one. Hit tab. And I want green, which is R is red, G is green, B is blue, and A is alpha. Well, it's HSV. Who cares? Doesn't matter at all for what we're doing here. So we want 100% green, 0% blue and red, and now we have green. Now, I'm going to take this color right here. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to drag it here. And now I've saved that color as green. This is movement related. So now when we're looking through our blueprint, zoomed way the hell out, I want movement related stuff. Oh, there, it's green. Go, movement. So now I know where to zoom into for movement related stuff. Mouse input technically is movement. So now I can select my movement or my mouse input, come over here to comment color, click on the giant green bar now and select OK. Jump, well, pretty much the same thing. We know that it's a movement, so we're doing something. So let's go ahead and do that, and there we go. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm not going to change anything else right now. I'm just going to make sure that they're moved around, look neat. I'm going to move over a little bit, and I'm going to create a new section here. I'm going to right click, and we have, and on this video I'm not going to break down what every little tiny thing does, but I will in other videos. We want to create the action when we hit play. We want a certain thing to happen, so we want event begin play. Again, I will show how I did that. As I right click in the empty space, you have a search block right here. As long as you have a general idea of what you're trying to create, you can put it in there. So I want, this is an event. It's going to happen whenever I begin. I didn't put any spaces in whatsoever. And play. Event begin play. So on event begin play, what I want to happen is I want that damn mouse cursor to go away. I don't want to see that mouse cursor. Why do I need to see that mouse cursor? It annoys only me probably, but so what we're going to do here is we're going to drag off. This is called our executable pin. So if I'm helping you out with something, I say, well, drag off from your executable. Oh, the what? The executable pin from your event begin play. The what? The damn little white triangle thing right there on your event begin play. If you mouse over it, it says EXEC. That stands for execute. So you drag off from your execute pin from your event begin play, and I'm left click dragging, and when I let go of the mouse button, left mouse button, you're going to get this executable actions list. Oh my god, there's a lot of shit here. Well, okay, no problem. What are we trying to do? We want to ensure that when we first begin to play, we want to make sure that our game is in the correct mode for our input. Set input mode to game only. No spaces, but you can see it showed, once I started typing it in, it allowed me to see where I was going with that. Set input mode to game only. And I can left click on it and I can drag it around. That executable link is going to follow it around. Try to make your blueprints neat and clean and organized. They're easier for you to come back in and follow later down the line as you're trying to figure out what in that mess of spaghetti does what. So the cleaner you are when you're laying out your blueprint as you go, the easier it is going to be for you to go back in there and edit it later. If I hit compile and save, we're going to have some issues to deal with. It's not going to say anything just yet, but there's a player controller node or a reference right here. Player controller. So I want to drag off from this. Left click, drag out, and I am going to player controller. So let's type in player controller. Well, I have two options, cast to and get. Well, I want to get a reference to my player controller. And it automatically connects the line to there. No problem. It's because I selected from here and drag out, it will automatically connect my lines for me. So, now, we've set our input mode to game only, and now we've got a reference to our player controller. Well, let's go ahead and grab our player controller and I want to set show mouse cursor to there. See, mouse interface, set show mouse cursor. Again, all I did was I started typing in what I thought I wanted, and there we go. Come up with your own convention on this. When I'm zoomed all the way in where it says 1, 1, of how many spaces in between you want there. I want 4 spaces in between each of these individual pieces, so that or nodes, so that I can actually have some symmetry and a cleaner build of how I'm doing things. So what we've done on begin play, we have our player controller, we set our input mode to game only, and set show mouse cursor is unchecked. There's nothing in this box, so we make sure that there is no mouse cursor. Compile and save, and now I'm going to click back on third person example map. When I hit play, I still have a mouse cursor. Oh no. Why do I still have that? Because and I hit the escape key to stop playing, stop play mode. We are using our character called player_base, not the original third person character. So we need to come back over here to our game mode, and our default pawn class needs to be changed over to player_base. Now I'm going to hit save all, save selected. Now when I hit play, look, no mouse cursor. We can immediately just start. Oh god, remember I said I hate doing that shit. So now we can immediately start going in here and playing. So now we have our first character. This is awesome. This is amazing. But is it multiplayer? Who cares? You don't have a way of connecting other players yet. So it doesn't matter if it's multiplayer or not, because you're not going to be able to have anybody else join you anyway. And in fact, this is not even a game. This is just a map you're running around on, and you can't even play this because you don't know how to set it up as a game. But I want to play it. Well, you're playing it right now. One step at a time. We've got the basics, the basic concept down for getting in here and creating our first character, so that we can interact with our map and we can run around and do things. And there was much rejoicing. We can hit spacebar to jump, WASD for moving our character around. Nothing else really does anything, and this is good enough to get us going. Alright, so I'm going to hit the escape key and stop playing that. Go back up here to our player base. Everything works as intended. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click and select all this stuff right here. I'm going to hit the C as in Charlie key, C key on my keyboard, and look, I now have a comment block. So I'm going to type in begin play. This is going to be event begin play. It's something we need to have isolated color wise so that we can refer back to it. Oh my goodness, what color do we want for begin play? Well, what, red? No. How about yellow? Let's go with yellow. So if you look, you got red 1, green 0.75, blue 0, and that's good enough. So I'm going to grab this one again, this new color, and I'm going to drag it up here. And I'm going to save this new color so I can use it again later. So now we're starting to get some organization in our blueprint, and that's lovely. Compile and save, close that. Now if you look at this crapola right over here in our world outliner, knowing this is the next step, go ahead and minimize all these folders here. Once you've got them all minimized, you have third person example map, arena geometry, lighting, render effects, cube mesh, documentation actor. I'm selecting them here. I don't really need that spinning coin thingy, so I'm going to go ahead and hit delete key. Network player start. We need that. Player start. I added another one in. We don't really need that one right now, so I'm going to delete that one. Sky Sphere Blueprint. We're not going to mess with that. Text Render Actor. Well, we don't really need this third person on the floor. But while we have it selected, we can click on Details Panel, and now we can actually edit that. Instead of it saying the third person, look down right here, it says text third person. I'm going to go over here and say, this is my game stupid. I'm going to hit the tab key and we can change the text. This is my game stupid. You have transform tools, you can move it around. You could even do this. Move it over here. Grab our select and rotate objects. Rotate it to the left 90 degrees. Now go with this, which is our select and translate objects. Whatever, it's the move around friggin' thing. And let's move it closer to the wall until we see it just go through the wall. And let's raise it up so we can see it. And there we go. We hit play. This is my game, stupid. If you want to add simple text to your maps, especially whenever you're doing a tutorial map, those things are awesome. So I can actually click on it here, or I can click on it here, and you know, I can change what I want it to say, whatever. But let's just not fiddle with that. Let's actually get back into organizing. And on a third-person example map, I'm going to, now in the past you had to right-click here, create folder, and go from there. Now you can right-click anywhere in the clear open space. Now if you got a bunch of stuff in here and you don't have the ability to do that, then come back up here and do third-person example map, or the name of the map. You just want to create a folder, and we're going to call this map, no, I'm going to learn how to spell, map stuff. I'm going to left click on arena geometry, lighting. So I'm holding down the control key. I can only put what I want in there. Render effects, cube material, network player start, sky thingamajiggy, and this. And now I've got everything selected but the new folder I created. And now I can left click on any of them and just drag them into here. Then click back on map stuff, close that. Now I have my world outliners clean and clear, so when I add new stuff in, I can then organize them as I go. So, final recap. We're at the hour mark. We're going to stop this at the hour mark. What have we done? We have covered the fact that you need to first go by the rules of proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Break out Notepad, write down your game. Write down your thoughts of what you want for your game. Get everything in line for and in your mind written on Notepad so that you have an idea of what your game is going to be. And then create your own first project. I said that my game was going to be a cowboy game, and I want to make it a first-person shooter, even though I'm in a third-person example. And I've started putting in my first project, getting things set up and ready to rock and roll. And while I'm thinking about this, I have got to do one thing to add in here. We've covered the basics on getting your first project going and letting you get started. Since I said this is going to be a cowboy game, and eventually I'm going to bring in asset packs, which are going to be from Cinti Studios. But to get started with, I'm going to start off plain and simple. But I have one thing I got to add in here since I said this is going to be a cowboy game. Oh, so much stuff on this hard drive. And it is... Yes, I'm looking through and I am organized, but I just have so many folders. I need to reorganize my organization. Just looking for a folder that I have set up with an item in here that I just simply must have. It's my data folder. probably in my game folder. Characters, we're getting close. That's icons. I had a folder that I set up with just exported items. Yeah, the whole concept is getting yourself organized, getting yourself into early habits of being neat and clean and organized. At some point with this project right here, I've got my character folder. I'm going to end up getting rid of that geometry folder. Down the road, I'm going to get rid of the mannequin folder, third person folder, and third person blueprints folder. All those are going to go away. Now, this map that we're currently on right here is called the third person example map. I don't want to keep that called that. I want this in my maps folder. So even though we've done save all, we've saved it to the wrong folder where we don't need it. So I'm going to go over here to File, Save Current As. I'm going to select my maps folder. And I'm going to call this my TP underscore example. So I give it my own version, my own name, and now I don't have to worry about what's in here. I want to minimize any of the original stuff and have my own things so I know what's where and what does what. We want to know what the what is. Unlike my folders. So many things. My audio, images, Cinti Studios folder, textures. Now when it comes to multiplayer, really quickly while I'm looking for this other object here, is if you want to create your first multiplayer project, first get in here, figure out the basics, and go through what I'm talking about here for your basic concepts, and kind of go from there. Before you even think about doing multiplayer, get your game usable so that you can package it up and play it single player incrementally. Do one little step at a time and you will get there, I promise. But at this point we still don't have a game that we can package and play outside of Unreal Engine 4. We haven't got there yet, which I will cover that in a different video. And what I'll do here is I'm going to go ahead and drop this video. We're at the 1 hour mark, and on the next video that I'm going to do, I'm going to cover taking this and making it so that we can package this and be able to play it as a standalone game. And I'll cover that in the next video, and hopefully you'll be able to follow along pretty well. It'll make it to where we can actually do something with this game for testing purposes outside of Unreal Engine 4. And we'll start making our first cowboy game. It's going to be a terrible game. We're going to hate. We're going to end up deleting. But at least we've made progress and we're getting in the right direction. So I want to thank you guys for watching and see you back soon.